In this chapter, we're going to start talking about supply chain management, some topics and introduction. So what we're going to cover in this chapter are about supply chain goals, the impact of supply chains in the success of businesses. We're going to also talk about three key decision phases in any supply chain in terms of strategic decision making, midterm decision making, and short-term decision making. We're going to look at supply chain processes and also describe them in terms of push-pull views. And also we will cover macro processes in every single supply chain. So by end of this chapter, you will learn all these topics. Before diving into definitions, let's talk about why studying supply chain management is important. So every single product that you see in front of you has a supply chain. Your smartphone, your laptop, even desk and chair that you're using, every single one of them have a supply chain. So, in order to better understand how goods are moving around us and getting available for us, we need to study supply chains. Even every single service that you receive has a supply chain. For example, if you call in and order some food, basically the whole system has a supply chain. So almost every single product or service that we purchase as a consumer has a supply chain, and the businesses are trying to run them smoothly. Also, businesses should be very careful how they are managing their supply chains, because how they do that will define their success or failure. Not only that, but also they can gain some competitive advantage and competitive edge based on their supply chain performance. Let's compare Walmart and Amazon. So we all know that Amazon is very famous because of its responsiveness and being fast in terms of delivery. On the other hand, Walmart is more known for being cost efficient. So basically, they do have different supply chain strategies, and we're going to cover them in this course. And as I mentioned, failure of supply chain operations will cause failure of the entire business. So it is very important for businesses to be careful how they're managing their supply chains, and you're studying this course and you are becoming an expert in this domain, helping businesses succeed in their work. For the failure example, let me talk about Webvan. It was actually a startup business some time ago, and the goal of the business was to deliver groceries from supermarkets to customer homes. Sounds familiar, right? So these days we do have Instacart and others. These businesses do the same thing. But when Webvan actually started, when Webvan started their business, um, we didn't have that much of internet connection access to everyone. People didn't really care about online shopping, and also they customers didn't really want to pay anything for such a home delivery. So that's why Webvan failed, because their supply chain strategy wasn't uh, aligned with the market, with customer needs. So let's take a look at another example and see how supply chain actually works. So I'm sure that you all know Costco and maybe purchased goods from Costco. So let's look at Costco's supply chain management. So what they do offer low prices, right? And it is their strategy to offer low prices but customers can purchase in bulk, right? Large amounts, and they set their supply chain strategy around it. So they are able to reduce the cost of their supply chain by offering bulk and therefore attract customers. for that, right? So what they do, they are actually they do have some um, third parties that they are working with, right? So there are some manufacturers who produce products and then distribute them. Obviously, Costco is some sort of a wholesaler, but maybe a mixture with retailer kind of option. And then we, as consumers, as end users, go to Costco and purchase things, right? And also, you can go to Costco and return a product you purchased before. So there is a reverse logistic happening as well. So they get your return and try to get it back into the system. If it is in a um, perfect condition, maybe they resell it. If not, uh, they basically move it into back into upstream and try to uh, maybe remanufacture or retouch and sell it elsewhere. So why we are studying operations and supply chain management then? So we learned that every single organization has a supply chain. So there are so many operations happening inside the supply chain, such as distribution operations, manufacturing operations, warehousing operations, and so on. So if we want to define operations, what exactly it means, so the operations function is the collection of people, technology, system responsible for delivering the product or service. So you noticed I'm reading exactly from the definition. Sometimes we do have some definitions. I want you to exactly remember that. So look at this definition. What are some keywords in there? So maybe pause here and think about it. We do have some keywords in this definition, such as people, technology, and systems. So when we talk about operations, we involve people who work on those operations, with those operations. We do have technologies, let's say, let's consider manufacturing operations. So there's some people in the manufacturing center working on a car, for example. And there are some technologies, machineries who help these people to build a car, and also a system, obviously. The entire manufacturing um, basically has a system, right? And people know how to use technology to go through the entire production cycle. So all these are responsible for delivering that product or service. We are building systems using technology and people to deliver the final product to the customers and make them happy so that they pay us and we have a business. So operations are everywhere in every single business. Supply chains are everywhere. Every single product service has a supply chain. For example, Tesla. Tesla manufactures cars. They do have different kind of operations, right? And they go through the entire production and deliver the final product to the customers. As I mentioned before, not only products, physical products, but also services do have supply chain managements, such as FedEx. So FedEx do have a lot of different operations in terms of transportation, distribution, warehousing, and offers different kind of services to businesses and individuals. Even nonprofits do have operations and supply chain management. For example, charities. So they want to actually gather different kind of opportunities, such as donations, food, or other kind of things, and then distribute them to those in need. So they have to follow some operations, and they do have a supply chain to work around delivering to their final users. So again, why we're studying supply chain management? Another reason is that supply chains are sometimes very complicated. Sometimes they're intertwined, and um, some organizations are part of larger supply chains. So let's consider Amazon. Obviously, Amazon sells a lot of different products. They work with third parties, and also they do have their own product manufactured as well. So not only they have their own products and their own supply chain management around it, but also they work with third parties. And these third parties do have their own supply chains. Let's say that you can buy Apple products on Amazon. Obviously, Apple has its own supply chain for in the entire their entire supply chain, manufacturing their products such as iPhone, iPad, and others, distributing them all around the world. They do have retail stores, app stores, and customers can go there or purchase them online. But they do offer these products through Amazon as well. So Amazon has its own entire supply chain, very complex, very, very huge, selling so many products for millions of users around the world. So the supply chain of Apple and Amazon have overlaps, obviously. So they have to work together so that they can offer products on Amazon website as well. So this makes supply chains very complex, and we need to study supply chains, understand this complexity, these connections, these collaborations and coordinations, share of information, so that we can manage the supply chains in the best possible manner and make sure that the business is successful. So another reason why we are studying supply chain management, because effective and efficient management of supply chains matter. And the reason is that, again, the success and failure of the business um, is tied into the performance of their supply chain. Let's say that you have uh, a shoe store and you sell different kind of sneakers and different kind of shoes. Obviously, there's a supply chain behind it. There are some raw materials and then manufacturers who produce these shoes, and then they shipped it to warehouses and there from there to your retail store. And then there are some customers coming into the store purchasing the shoes. Throughout the supply chain, there has been so many activities uh, and so many decisions. So let's say that you do own the entire supply chain of this business. You order manufacturers, you do manage the warehousing, and you do manage the distribution and so on. So then you have to decide the volume of production for each type and color of shoes. How many units? Depending on the number of stores you have, the locations of stores you have, you might decide about this volume. The location of production, do you want to do it um, in-house in United States? Do you want to outsource to maybe Asian countries? What would you do? That's a very huge decision to make because that's going to affect the entire distribution cost as well. So again, the location decision, location of production matters because do you have access to skilled workers? Do you have access to equipment? How would you provide the raw materials? Who will be your suppliers? And also your market. Are you planning to sell only in United States, only in California, or it's a global business? You are open to sell online to anyone in the entire world. So these are so big questions, and supply chain management gonna help you answer these questions. And answers are not just random answers, they are data driven, they are based on facts, and based on reality. So, in order to have a successful supply chain, we have to understand how to manage them carefully, efficiently, and effectively. So, let me stop here. I do have three quick questions just to test what you learned so far in this chapter. So, please pause here, review the questions, and think about the answers. First question. Is it true or false? A supply chain only involves the manufacturer and the end users. Is that correct or not? Second one, why did Webvan fail despite being an early e-commerce pioneer? And why Instacart was built years later? And it is actually a successful business. Number three, name two real work companies. One where the operations function is primarily production oriented, one is service oriented. Explain the difference, how they manage their operations and supply chain. Please pause, think, and then you can review the answers in the next slide.